Okay, video time. So I'm making a video on simple interest. So I'm gonna go back to the beginning for those of you who are still a little bit confused. Okay, so here's the equation we're gonna use, right? So we talked about how I represents the interest, which is the amount of money you will earn from the bank or you will pay the bank. Principal is the amount that you can take from the bank, the loan that you take, or the money that you deposit in the bank. R represents the interest rate, which is going to be expressed as a decimal, right? And the time is going to be in years. Okay. So let's look at the first example. So I'd like you to start with this. If it's simple interest, you will always use this, right? I equals P times R times T. Find the simple interest. In this case, this is what we want right here. So that's going to be our unknown variable. Find the simple interest for $600 invested at 5% for 4 years. So let's replace our variables one by one. So P, the money invested, that's 600. The interest rate is 5%, but we're not going to write 5%. We're going to write 0.05. So instead of R, I'm going to put 0.05. And time is 4 years, is in years, so that's no change here. And we write times 4. So if you put $600 in the bank and leave it there for 4 years, and the bank pays you 5% interest every year, how much would you have earned after 4 years? So 600 times 0.05 times 4. So when you come back to the bank in 4 years, they're going to give you back your 600 that you initially put plus this amount, which is what the bank is going to thank you with for leaving that money with them for 4 years. So they're going to give you $120. So you're going to take back $720. In this case, we're not asking for the total, they're just asking you for the interest. How much did the bank give you? The bank gave you $120 as interest. Number 2, same thing, it's a little bit different. So P times R times T. How much interest? Not interest rate, interest. So we're looking for the I. So the I is going to stay. So how much money did John make here on $250 principal over 6 months? It was an interest rate of 3.5. So I know he put $250 in the bank. The rate is 3.5 or 0.035. And now the time is 6 months. So, but the time here is in years. So we're going to have to change 6 months in years. So what is 6 months in relation to a year? Well, 6 months is 6 out of 12, right? 12 means 1 year. We can simplify it to a half, or so half, or even 0.5, whichever one you prefer. So in terms of years, 6 months is the same thing as half a year, or I'm going to write 0.5. If you want to write 1.5, actually, you know what? For this particular one, I'm going to write half because I'm going to be using a lot of some. So that will be expressed as a fraction as well. So 250 times 0.035 times a half, or 0.5, and you're going to get that the money that you, or the money that John earned, if he comes back in 6 months, the bank is going to give him $4.38. But don't forget that the bank is also going to return his original money, right? So it's 250 plus the 438. But because the question is only asking you for how much interest did the bank pay him, that's the answer. Okay. Number whatever this is. So Cynthia opened a savings account with 1,250. So let me write this first. Account pays 4% interest. There's no transaction. She doesn't touch the money. In other words, how much will Cynthia make or earn? How much will the bank pay her after 4 months? So the interest is what we need to find. So that's going to stay I. The P, the principal, how much did she put in? 1,250. The interest rate is 4% or 0.04. And time, so 4 months is the same thing as 4 over 12, right? It's 4 out of 12, which is the same 12 because there's 12 months in a year. 4 over 12 is the same thing as 1/3 simplified. So in time, 4 months is the same thing as saying 1/3 of a year. So if you multiply those, 1,250 times 0.04 times, and this one you want to express it as a fraction, so you have a fraction, what do you call a calculator that deals with that, and you're going to get that the answer is, and this is going to be around 16.6666 forever, or 16.67. So if she comes back in 4 months, the bank is going to give her the $1,250 that she initially put, plus they're going to give her $16.67 for her interest. Okay. Okay, so this again, find the amount of time it takes. Okay, so I equals, let me start by always writing this. So find the amount of time. So I want to know the time. So out of all these 4 variables, this is going to remain. And we have to change the rest. So it takes to earn $16 in interest. So she made $16. So this is her interest, right? $16 in interest goes here. Deposit $200. So that's the principal. And what was the interest rate? The interest rate was 4% or 0.04. So let's simplify a few things. So on this side, I'm going to multiply 200 times 0.04, and I'm going to get 8, or 8t. Now this becomes a one-step equation. I'm going to divide this side by 8 and this side by 8. Cross cross, I get my t by itself, and 16 divided by 8 is 2. So in order for for whoever this person was to earn $16 here, she had to leave $200 in the bank for 2 years, because that's what we're looking for, the time. Find the simple interest rate. Again, interest rate for if you deposit 3,200, that's 7% for 2 years. So interest equals P times R times T. So find the simple interest. So I'm looking for the I, the simple interest. The principal is 3,200. The interest rate is 7% or 0.07. And the time is 2 years. So this one's pretty straightforward. 3,200 times 0.07 times 2. She makes, or whoever this person is, gonna come back in 2 years, and the bank is gonna give her $448 on top of the $3,200 that she or he initially deposited. Okay, so again, this equation is going to have 4 variables. You will always have 3 of them, and then you can solve for that one. So in this case, find the interest earned. So again, in 3 months, if you deposit $500 in a savings account with an interest rate of 4% annually. So find the interest. So of all the variables, this is the one that's missing, so that's going to be here. The principal is how much you deposited, and you put $500 in the bank. The interest rate was 0.04. And the time, how much time? 3 months. So again, what's 3 months in terms of years? Well, 3 months is 3 out of 12. Or, if you simplify that, we make it 1 out of 4. So 3 months is 1/4 of a year. So I'm going to write 1/4. Now, I just get to multiply. So 500 times 0.04 times 1/4, it's gonna give me 5. So if you deposit $500 and the bank pays you a 4% interest, and you come back in 3 months, you're gonna make $5 whole dollars plus the 500 that you put in. But on top of that, the bank's gonna give you five extra dollars. Find the amount of time. So again, this one, time, this t is going to stay here, right? And everything else is going to be filled in. So find the amount of time it takes to earn 102 in interest. So the interest earned was 102. How much did we deposit there? 340. And what was the interest rate? 6%. 0.0. Let me erase this. The interest rate was 0.06, and time is what I want to find out. So if I went to the bank and I put 340%, and the bank paid me a 6% interest, and after how much time will the bank give me $102? Oh wow, let's see how much that's going to be. So 102. So I'm going to multiply 340 times 0.06, which is 5,666.67 t. Divide this by 5,666.67, and likewise on the other side. This is not. So if I divide, I've got this 2 over across, and on the other side, 102 divided by what is it? 5,666.67, and t is going to be. I did something wrong here. T is going to be, well, it says 0.1, 0.01799999, so something not right here. Oh, I see what's not right. 340 times 0.06 is 20.4, so I made a huge mistake here. Let me erase this. This is 20.4. 340 times 0.06 is 20.4. Now, I'm going to divide this by 20.4. I'm going to divide this by 20.4. That makes more sense. So 102 divided by 20.4 equals 5. So t equals 5, which means 5 years. So if you deposit $340 and leave it in the bank for 5 years, when you come back, the bank is going to give you $102. So if you decide to take the money out, the bank is going to give you the 340 that you put in plus the 102 as a thank you for leaving that money in the bank for so long. Okay. Number 5. So number 5 is I equals P times R times T. So it says you invest $2,000 in simple interest account. So the P is 2,000. So let me change that. The balance after 8 years is 2,720. What is the interest rate? So the time is 8 years. And the interest rate, R, is what we're trying to find, right? So pay attention, because I need to know how much did the bank give you after 8 years. Do we know that? In a way we do. So you put in 2,000, and after 8 years, how much money did you have in the bank? 2,720. Does it mean you made 2,720? No, you didn't. You already had 2,000, so we need to subtract. So how much money did you really make for leaving 2,000 there? You actually made 720. So if you put the money at a bank, you put $2,000. After 8 years, you earn 720. And this makes sense, right? Because after 8 years, you close the bank account, you're going to take the 2,000 that you put in plus the 720 that the bank gave you. So what was the interest rate? Was it a 5%, 6%, 10%, etc.? That's what we're trying to find out. So let's simplify a few things. 2,000 times 8 is 16,000. I can multiply those two, and I get 16,000 R. Now I can divide by 16,000. I'm going to divide by 16,000 on the other side. And 720 divided by 16,000 equals 0.045, which in this case I'm going to change to a percent. Okay, change to a percent. I'm going to move this 1, 2 to the right. We're going this way, and that's going to give me 4.5%. Okay, so a little bit of everything. So depending on the question, you might need to find the interest, the principal, how much money was deposited, the interest rate, or the time in years. So it really depends on the question. Number 6. So 6 is a Plicker's question. It says, Tanya took a loan to help pay for the house. She borrowed $70,000 for 15 years at a simple rate of 5%. So let's say you took $70,000. So in this case, instead of depositing, you took out. So this, you took $70,000 from the bank. What's the rate? 5% or 0.05. How many years? For 15 years. So this, it's going to give you the interest, but in this case, it's not what the bank is going to pay you, but what you're going to pay the bank for taking so much money out. So 70,000 times 0.05, 70,000 times 0.05 times 15, which means, whoa, really? 70,000 times 0.05 times 15. Let me do this again. 70,000 times 0.05 equals, yeah, it's 52,500. Sorry. The interest is 52,500. So let me explain what that means. It means that you took 70,000 from the bank, right? But when you pay back the bank, you're gonna have to pay this much back plus 52,500. Think of it as a penalty or something, or because the bank has to make money, right? They gave you this much money, they want a little bit extra. And this is how much extra they want, which is a lot. So at the end of 15 years, when you're repaying your debt, you end up paying 122,500. So look how much more you're paying than your original loan. Okay, so that's how bank makes money. Independent projects. So number 1, Roger put $200 in his account, so I equals PRT. We put 200, so that's the principal. The interest rate is 1% or 0.01. How much money will he make after 1 year? So let's do 1 year. So I equals 200 times 0.01 times 1. So after 1 year, he's gonna make a whopping $2. And then after 2 years, if you leave it there, so again, it's the same thing, 200 times 0.01 times 2, he makes $4. Now, if he leaves the money for 3 years and doesn't touch it, and comes back to the bank, he's going to make $6. Not that much. Number 2, what is the amount of what interest that Mike earns on the following? Deposit $780, interest rate 3.2, and 3 years. So Mike here is going to put $780 down. He's going to pay, the bank's going to give him 0.032 interest rate, and he's going to leave the money for 3 years. So let's see how much. So if he returns to the bank after 3 years, 780 times 0.032 times 3, the bank's going to give him on $74.88. But please don't forget that the bank, he is also going to take out the 780 that he originally put in there, right? So it's 780 plus 74.88. That's how much he would take out as a whole if it's closing the account. 3, how much interest will Julie earn on 1,240 deposit, 5% interest and interest rate in 6 months? So I is what you're missing. The principal is 1,240, 1,240. The interest rate is 0.05. And the time is 6 months, but don't write 6. 6 months is the same thing as half a year. Or half a year. If you want to write 0.5, that's okay too. It makes no difference. So in this case, if Judy returns after 6 months, the bank's going to give her $31 interest. Okay. Don't forget again that that does not include the original money that she put in. Okay, she also gets to take that out. So 4. What must the interest rate be if you earn $266 after 4 years on the principal amount of $950? All right. It always helps if you write these equation and one by one substitute. So how much would the interest rate be? So interest rate is dr, so dr is going to come down. So that's what we need to find. So the other 3, I know the values, right? So how much did I make? I made 266, so that's here, the interest. The principal was 950, which means I deposited $950. And how much time did I leave that money in the bank? I left that money in the bank for 4 years. Let's continue. 266. I can multiply 950 times 4 on the other side, which is 3,800. Or now I get to divide by 3,800 on both sides. And the interest rate is 266 divided by 3800, which gives me 0.07, which you need to change that to percent, and you get 7%. So that means that the bank was paying this person 7%. Okay. Number 5, how long will it take? So how long already, that's a hint that we need to find t, the time. How long will it take to earn $89.37 in interest on a $662 principal at an interest rate of 4.5 annually? So let's go ahead and leave time t for time because that's what we're going to find out. So let's figure out the rest. So interest, she earned $89.37, so that's here. How much did she put in the bank here? $662, and how much was the interest rate? 0.045. So on the right side, I can multiply 662 times 0.045, and that's gonna, 662 times 0.045, it's gonna give me 29.79 t, which I now get to divide by 29.79 on both sides. So this crosses out, right? And I'm going to have t. So let's see how much time 89.37 divided by 29.79 is going to give us 3. So 3 years. Okay. 6, Ariella takes a loan. So again, I equals P times R times T. Takes a loan for $500 at a simple rate of 8% annually. How much interest will she owe after 2 years? Okay, so time is 2. Interest rate is 0.08. And what was the principal here? So she didn't deposit, but she took out, right? So we can write that she took out. So principal can work for when you put in money, deposit money, or take out money. So in this case, she took out $500 from the bank. She told them she would pay them in 2 years at an interest rate of 0.08. So let's see how much she paid the bank in interest. So if you multiply 500 times 0.08 times 2, the interest was $80. So, but what I need to understand is that when she finished her payment, she's going to pay the bank the $500 that she originally took, plus $80 in interest that the bank charged her. So at the end of 2 years, she actually pays $580. Right? Like I said, the bank needs to make money. 7, Sandra makes a deposit of $800. on account that has an annual rate of 3%, how much money will she have after 1 year, 2 years, and 5 years? Okay, so I equals PRT. So the interest rate, let's find the interest rate. So if you put 800 bucks and it's 0.03 interest rate and just 1 year. So in 1 year, how much will the bank give you as interest rate? You would earn interest rate 24. So in year 1, the bank would give you the 800 that you put in plus 24. So you would make $824. You wouldn't make you would make $24 because the first initial 800 was already 2. In year 2, let's say you didn't go back after 1 year and you came back after 2 years. So you're gonna get 800 times 0.03 times 2, and it means that after 2 years you actually made $48. So in year 2, let's say you left the money for 2 years, you're going to come back, close the bank, you're going to take out your 800 that you put in plus 48 extra dollars that the bank is going to pay you in interest. So let's say you had a little bit more time and you said, no, I'm going to come back in 3 years. So let's say you come back in 3 years. 800 times 0.03 times 3 is $72 that the bank will pay you in interest. So in year 3, if you didn't come back in year 1 or 2, and you left the money in the bank for 3 years, you would take your 800 bucks that you originally put, plus the bank would have given you 872, for a total of $872. Number 8, Jeffrey takes a loan, right? So again, that could be, it's the opposite of depositing, right? So takes a loan for $2,000 at an annual rate of 11%. Yikes. He wants to pay it all back 2 years later. How much will he have to pay principal plus interest? Well, so let's find out what the interest is. So he takes out $2,000, which is the principal. The interest rate is 0.11%, or 0.11, times the time, which is 2 years. So 2,000 times 0.11 times 2 equals $440 in interest will he have to pay. So after 2 years, he's going to have to pay the bank the $2,000, right, that he took out, plus the $440 that the bank is charging him. So he would actually have to pay the bank $2,440 at the end of 2 years. Okay, so be careful what the question is asking you. Number 9, you deposit $250 in the savings account. How much is interest? So the savings account, you put $250. The interest rate is 0.04, and you leave your money for 3 years. So how much money will the bank give you for doing that? So 250 times 0.04 times 3 equals $30. So you would have earned $30 after 3 years. Okay. 10 says you deposit, so again I equals PRT. You deposit $250. The interest rate is 0.035 or 3.5%, and you leave the money there in the bank for 3 months. And what do we remember that we can't write 3 months because the time is in years. So 3 months is 3 out of 12, or 1/4. So 3 months is the same thing as 1/4 of a year. So I'm going to write 1/4. Those of you who want to use a decimal and write 0.25, that's fine too. 250 times 0.035 times 1/4, or 0.25. It's going to give you not much of an interest, $2.19. So after 3 months only, which is not that much time, the bank would give you $219. Sorry, $2.19 on interest. And if you were to close the account that day, you would take your 250 that you initially put in plus the 219 that the bank is giving you for a total of 252. Okay. Oh, two more. So Ben is planning to open a savings account that earns 1.6 simple interest. He wants to earn exactly 336 in interest after 3 years. How much money should he deposit? So I equals P times R times T. So the interest rate is 1.6, so it's 0.016, right? Check. He wants to earn 336. So earning 336 would mean that this would be I, which I represents how much the bank gives you, right? How much you earn for leaving that money in the bank. So I is 336 in this case. The principal, how much money should he deposit? That's our unknown variable. So that's going to be P. And the time is 3 years. So on the right side, I can multiply 3 times 0.016, which is going to be 0.048. P, don't forget the P. Now divide that side by 0.048, and let's divide this side by 0.048. These two cross out. So the amount of principal the amount of money that he should deposit there, 336 divided by 0.048 equals $7,000. Choice B. So if you want to make $336 from that bank, you need to deposit $7,000. Sam opened a money market account, like a savings account, 4% interest. It pays 4% simple interest. He started the account with $7,000 and made no further deposits. When he closed the account, he earned $560 in interest. How long did he keep the money? How long did he keep his account opened? So I equals P times R times T. Let's see what we can fill in. So how long? It's the time. So T is our unknown. So let's look for, he deposits $7,000, so that's our principal, so $7,000. Do we know the interest rate? Yeah, it's 4% or 0.04. And do we know how much he made when he deposited $7,000? He made, yes, right here. He earned $560. So on the right side, I can multiply 7,000 times 0.04. So I get 560, 280 T, divide this by 280, divide this by 280. These two cross out. And 560 divided by 280 is 2. So how long did he leave this money in the bank? He left the money in the bank for 2 years. But that's it. Not that difficult.